Okay, we're in the right field. Oh, there it is, right there.
Okay, so Dawn's going to read a letter. Mary, you going to read her stuff? I'm just going to turn it in. Okay, all right. Okay.
It's like 50 pages.
Okay.
All right.
We're from Massachusetts Downwinders, yes. Yes. We told them we were coming.
All right.
Yes.
All right, so what's coming up?
Okay, great, thank you. Yeah, no, you've got to sign. Yeah, you've got to sign, right? Yep. You've got your sign for you. Welcome. Yeah. I just want everyone to know that we did invite the governor to speak today. We invited him. I was in the State House 2 days ago and went to his office and said, we haven't heard back from the governor. We will be coming up to deliver a letter, so they know we were coming today. They've also received at least 4 letters from Cape Downwinders and Massachusetts Downwinders asking the governor to revoke the operating license of Pilgrim nuclear reactor. So there's a lot of background to why we're standing here, and it seems like it's a surprise. We still got, and they said they would give us a response. We still got no response. I also have to let you know that we've already sent 5 letters to the governor asking him to respond to the citizens' concerns about the Pilgrim nuclear power reactor. And now that Entergy has said they will close the reactor in 2019, we want him to understand that we, the people.
Sorry, maybe can we, Jennifer
Can you
needs
go
to,
back, go that way?
can we move down, please? Sorry. Can't
Sorry,
walk
I need
this
to get
way.
to the store here.
Right.
Go that way. Get my space. They can't get a phone and get the green noise. This is our house too.
But yes, they do plan on closing the plant June 1st, 2019.
What we want the government to understand is that that's an incorrect assumption that it's going to close in 2019. It needs to close now. The narrative is Entergy is going to continue to operate a dangerous and degraded reactor for almost 4 years, and that is unacceptable to the people of Massachusetts. We have been calling for the closing of the nuclear reactor for years because it is a dangerous and degraded reactor. Now the NRC is agreeing with us, all right? That's the situation that we're in right now. This is not an energy issue. It is not an economic issue. It is a serious public safety issue. And right where you stand right now, in Boston, you're in the same emergency planning zone that we are on Cape Cod. And we have potassium iodide pills to protect our thyroids. I'm 35 miles away, you're 35 miles away. You're in the same danger. We all are. And the governor needs to know it's a public safety issue. It needs to be shut down now, not in 2019. So we have a letter to be read, and we have some materials to bring to you.
Yeah.
We are asking that the governor respond to our letter by December 1st.
December 1st.
We've already sent him 5 letters this year and have never received a response. And that's not appropriate. We're asking him to call for the immediate shutdown of the Pilgrim reactor to ensure public safety. Okay? All right?
Understood.
Okay, so before we read the letter, do you want to start, Don?
Sure,
Okay.
I'd be glad to.
Okay.
How are you?
Hi.
Ricky.
Nice to meet you,
Nice to
sir.
meet you.
This is just a brief letter to the governor. The title of it is the second open letter and appeal to Governor Baker to intervene and call for immediate closure of the Pilgrim Nuclear Power Plant. Dear Governor Baker, with their recent comments and the final decision by Entergy to close the Pilgrim Nuclear Power Plant in 2019, a new set of urgent considerations have become paramount. Your administration reacted quickly to proactively develop proposals to expand production of clean, renewable power. Put in perspective, Pilgrim offers 680 megawatts of the 31,000 available in New England per the Patriot Ledger. Attention has been focused on worker retraining, minimizing economic impact, and securing what the Boston Globe editorialized recently as the nuclear graveyard, the nuclear waste dump in Plymouth. You have also spoken of challenges and opportunities to chart a new course. The future is bright if the right choices are made. But your silence on the continued operation of the Pilgrim nuclear plant for almost another 4 years is deafening and confounding. All that citizens hear is a death rattle at the beleaguered facility. The Commonwealth is confronting a very real public safety crisis with 5 million citizens in harm's way. The primary issue surrounding Pilgrim is neither energy nor economics. It is public safety. This is a grievous mistake to keep Pilgrim operating in its dangerous, perilous state. Pilgrim needs to be closed immediately for an orderly shutdown, not in reaction to another emergency or disaster. Let's be clear, Pilgrim still retains the lowest degraded rating of any USA nuclear plant, operating with the same depleted assets and poor management. Entergy has officially written off the plant on their balance sheet, refusing to fund required NRC safety improvements. As the storm clouds of danger continue to gather, we are at an impasse. Why? Nothing has been fixed, and systematic failure is accelerating as closure looms. The recent trend for Pilgrim has been a downward spiral. Do any of the following events inspire confidence? A 22-year-old fire code violation was recently discovered, and the NRC has ordered a fire watch patrol in the nuclear control room 24/7 to sniff out smoke. Where was the NRC? The meteorological towers to detect the direction of nuclear releases was out repeatedly for 3 years. Never maintained, still not fixed. Where was the NRC? The failed and broken electrical switchyard, never fixed, repeatedly cited, and still on the brink of collapse with the next blizzard. Where was the NRC? After the June storm of 2015, failed safety relief valves, SRVs, were replaced with refurbished valves of a type previously removed by Plymouth in 2010 for being defective and prone to leaking. With the news of the closure, the talent pool at Plymouth is evaporating as we speak, as resumes seek out new destinations. Those site-specific skill sets at Pilgrim are weakening. Energy's mindset to intensively minimize their expenses will not be altered. If history is any lesson, only a steep decline in focus and resources can be expected to closure date. Operating a nuclear reactor in this environment to eke out any marginal benefit is folly. When the next emergency shutdown strikes, assuming no fatalities or injuries, do you press the bet button again? Do you double down? It is like the Commonwealth running a high-wire act with the NRC as an unreliable and slow-to-respond spotter who can't prevent the big fall. You have publicly stated your trust in the NRC experts. Your trust has been sadly misplaced with the belated disclosure of long-standing and unreported failings and the lack of enforcement at Pilgrim. Citizens across the state truly understand the gravity of the situation. We petition and implore you, once again, as Chief Safety Officer of the Commonwealth and the responsibilities invested in you, to respond to this petition as the evidence demonstrates a clear and present danger to the people of Massachusetts and beyond. We need decisive and strong leadership immediately to provide us the protection the situation demands. Demand the NRC to close Pilgrim now. Thank you.
I won't read this. Would you take it and just pass it on? It's all right.
Donnie, do you have anything on one?
You know, and also,
Okay, I wanna put on-
ask the governor that if the NRC put it in the bottom of safety, okay, for poor management, not making investments in an old reactor, why, if they are losing, according to Entergy, $30 to $60 million a year, does anyone think they're going to make investments that are required in that plant? Ask him also if he thinks the mother of Entergy in Louisiana is going to bail them out. Look at the tier of limited liability companies that Entergy has set up. Pilgrim is a limited liability company for good reason. So, if you follow the money, you understand they're in business to make money. They're not making money, they're not going to invest, so you're running an antique reactor on the cheap. And I live 6 miles from the reactor. Every time they shut down, my lights stay on. I blow dry my hair. We don't need the power. One bad day, and that is the end of our economy in the Commonwealth. He claims to be a businessman. He understands that they will not be investing in that reactor until June 1st, 2019. It makes no sense.
Right.
Yes.
You know, radioactive waste lasts at least 240,000 years, and there's no place to store it, and it's not safe. Does the governor want that blood of all the kids and adults dying of cancer and leukemia on his hands? Because that's what he's going to have. Is that the legacy he wants to leave to his children, grandchildren, and great-grandchildren, and our 7 generations out into eternity? I want an answer to that question by December 1st, 2015.
Lane open straight through here, so I get at least wheelchair wide straight through.
And I'd like to address the issue of the Nuclear Regulatory Commission as regulators. In 2013, the Nuclear Regulatory Commission determined that Pilgrim was one of the 9 worst operating reactors in the country, so they increased the oversight. In 2014, the Nuclear Regulatory Commission determined that Pilgrim was one of the 5 worst operating reactors, and they increased the oversight. In 2015, The Nuclear Regulatory Commission determined they were one of the worst operating reactors in the country. And guess what they did? Increased oversight. It's a dangerously downward trend that needs to stop now. Okay? It can't get any lower. It's got to stop. The governor has to take moral leadership, like Governor Cuomo in New York called for the closing of Indian Point, and Governor Schulman in Vermont called for the closing of Vermont Yankee to protect their people. We need Governor Baker to show strong leadership and stand up and say, Pilgrim needs to be closed now, and tell the NRC to do so for all of our futures. And you're the young people. We've been working on this for a long time. This needs to happen now. All right?
I understand. Thank you.
And then we can add that the job isn't over. He has to understand that, which is in this letter here. He has to understand that Entergy, as they've done in Vermont, as soon as it shuts, will say, no more emergency planning off-site. We aren't going to pay for it. And the governor has to stand up and say, wait a minute. Until that spent fuel is out of the pool and into safer dry casks, we need you to pony up for emergency planning off-site. They're going to pull the same game for funding for Mass Department of Public Health to do environmental monitoring. The governor has to stand up and say, until that site is cleaned up, we need you to fund off-site and on-site environmental monitoring because that was part of the deal when you were here making money and bought the reactor. Also, he has to understand that we need a decommissioning council that has not only appropriate representatives from state agencies, but also must have citizen groups and representative from local governments, not only from Plymouth, but from Barnstable County and the adjacent communities that not only that in reality share the potential of pollution into the bay, impact on aquaculture, impact on our fishing industry, impact on tourism, impact on property values. And I know that for a fact because I'm in Duxbury, and those are all the various industries that can be affected. And he has to know the most important thing after closure is getting that spent fuel pool empty. The Attorney General of Massachusetts in 2016 did a study of the vulnerability of that pool to a fire, the consequence being up to $488 billion, 24 latent cancers, and contamination over 100 miles downwind. Therefore, the only way to reduce the risk is by getting that emptied, and you can empty the pool in less than 10 years. And if you have another 24 hours, we can continue with this conversation.
Well, speaking of that, we would also like to ask for a meeting. We need a meeting. We have asked. We did have a meeting with MEMA Director Kurt Schwartz and Stoley Singleton and another person, I can't remember his singer. I can't remember his name, Brian Singer, with EEO, Environmental and...
EEA?
Yes, in March. And then after that, all communication between the administration and the people stopped. So we're looking for that to be reignited. And so we're asking for a meeting. And I wanted to show you this. This is a map. This is a plume overlay of the release at Fukushima within the first 24 hours of release in Japan. And it's superimposed over the Pilgrim nuclear power reactor. And right now, the Nuclear Regulatory Commission says the only real danger area is within 10 miles, and that's patently false. Fukushima proved that clearly. And so what you can see is the plume over Pilgrim, and it depends on which way the wind is blowing. On Cape Cod, like I said, we all have potassium iodide to protect our thyroids, but if the wind is blowing the other way, it's up to Boston. So the state recognizes we're a population at risk, all right, but that we're expendable, and that's unacceptable. And you are in the same situation here. So it depends on where the
You
wind
and your
blows.
families.
Yep, yes.
Well,
If
the
you
po-
see this plume, it went all the way up to Vermont Yankee. It goes all the way to down to Long Island. That's radioactive material that causes cancer, particularly in infants, the fetus, children, and women. Okay? So this is a very, very, very serious public safety concern because it's the worst operating reactor in the country. And now they're not going to put any investment into it because they say they're shutting down in 2019. But actually, they're operating a dangerous reactor for 3.5 more years. So, again, if you would share this with the governor, we would appreciate that.
And explain to him that in coastal
I'll put
areas,
this in here and you can put it.
coastal areas, winds are variable. And so, for one period of time, it goes one way. A couple hours later, another.
Yeah.
And another, and another. That's not comforting. So I may be 6 miles, but you aren't much better off either.
I want to tell you also, it's a moral issue because Pilgrim causes leukemia and other cancers. And you three who are emissaries for the governor here are all of childbearing age. And the radiation coming from Fukushima and from Pilgrim destroys the fetus more than anybody else. The fetus is many, many, many times more sensitive than any of us. You're of childbearing age. Tell the governor, he has to tell the NRC to shut it down for that alone.
Yeah.
Thank you for listening.
Of course,
Yep,
thank you
yep.
for coming.
Yes, thank you for listening.
Very much.
This is your problem too. So
Right.
thank you.
I mean, now you have to carry some information. What is your name again?
Do you have any
Ricky?
cards?
Yes.
So great. If we could share cards and then we can.
We got it. I don't need the card.
Yes, so please share this. Please send this message to the governor. It's so important.
Of course.
Okay, adios. See you.
Thank you for coming.
I think we might have talked before.
I think so, yeah.
Yes.
I remember it.
Yes, I do. Yes.
Oh,
Yes, I do.
And all mine.
Yeah. The governor's going to call for the Pilgrim Down to shut down immediately. We would like a meeting and get to we would love to come and meet with you folks. We have a 10-minute slide presentation, documentation from the state and federal government. We're not making this up. We have documentation for everything we say, and that's why we're here, because we need our voices to be heard. Okay? All right?
We're
Okay.
here.
Good.
Thank you.
Good. Thank you.
See you guys later.
Thank you for your time.
Okay.